The air around you has weight, and it presses against everything it touches. That pressure is called atmospheric pressure, or air pressure. It is the force exerted on a surface by the air above it as gravity pulls it to Earth. An atmosphere is a unit of measurement equal to the average air pressure at sea level at a temperature of 15 degrees Celsius. One atmosphere is 1013 millibars, or 760 millimeters of mercury. Atmospheric pressure is commonly measured with a barometer. Atmospheric pressure drops as altitude increases. At the lower pressures of high altitudes, air molecules spread out more so that the air becomes less dense. The air in Mexico City is approximately 25% less dense than that at sea level. As the pressure decreases, the amount of oxygen available to breathe also decreases. Air pressure has many effects on sport, including the way a ball bounces, the way Formula One cars perform, the distances we jump, and our times in endurance sports. Reach refers to the total length of a boxer's arms from one fingertip to the other. Think of it like a boxer's wingspan. This is not to be confused with arm length, which only measures from shoulder to fist in one arm. Your reach is usually determined by your height, meaning that taller people tend to have longer reach, longer limbs. Like most things, there are exceptions to this, but generally you can assume that Tyson Fury would have a longer reach than Mike Tyson. The average reach across professional boxing is 71 inches. A gravitational force, or G-force, is the force that pulls or attracts all physical objects towards the centre of our planet. And without it, sport would be very different. It's what keeps our feet firmly planted on the ground, what brings a football down after it is kicked high, or what makes a diver dive. A G-force is a measure of acceleration. 1g is the acceleration we feel due to the force of gravity. On Earth, the acceleration of gravity generally has a value of 9.806 meters per second squared. Since this is just a different scale for measuring acceleration, it not only applies to gravity, but can also be used to quantify any acceleration. For example, in a racing car that's cornering fast, it's the internal combustion engine that provides the force needed to accelerate, not gravity. In these cases, the magnitude of the forces involved can be several times higher than the value of the Earth's gravitational force. And hence, for example, sportsmen are sometimes said to experience 2Gs, or 3Gs, or 6G even. Have you ever wondered why a kilometre means 1,000 metres, but a centimetre is just 100th of a metre, and a millimetre is 1,000th of a metre? Well, the answer is quite straightforward, really. When the French Revolution introduced the metric system, it was decided that Greek-based prefixes, such as deca, hecto, kilo, would be used to designate multiples of a number, and the Latin-based ones, such as deci, centi, milli, would be used for fractions of a number. In Italian, VAM is short for Velocità Ascensionale Media. In English, it's average climbing speed. VAM, a tool designed and perfected by the infamous Michel Ferrari, is a number-based comparator that's determined from the climber's speed on gradients of around 8%. A VAM is measured in upward meters an hour. So say you have a VAM of 1,500, this means you can climb a vertical altitude or difference of 1,500 meters in an hour. The finish at Alpe d'Huez is at 1,860 meters and the climb itself is 13.8 kilometers long, with an average gradient of 7.9%. The climb or altitude difference is 1,090 meters. The pirate Pantani's VAM for the Alp was 1,744. 1,090 metres ascended multiplied by 60 minutes and then divided by the 37 minutes it took him to climb it. To win a mountain stage of a Grand Tour, it's predicted that a rider needs a VAM of between 1,650 and 1,800 metres an hour. A watt is a unit of power equal to the work done at the rate of 1 joule per second, or the power produced by a current of 1 ampere across a potential difference of 1 volt, or its 1/746th of a horsepower. The term derived from Scottish inventor James Watt measured rates of energy conversion, whether they are created by electricity in a glowing filament or by your legs pumping the cranks of a bicycle. More watts or power conversion is a good thing as it demonstrates more reliably than other methods increases in your fitness. Training intensity is the toughest variable to measure. Speed is a poor measure as it relates more to terrain and wind. Heart rates provide a rough gauge, but they vary in response to temperature, humidity, altitude, hydration, fatigue, caffeine intake, and other factors. Watts don't lie. Wattage figures stay exact. An average cyclist can produce about 100 watts. Pro cyclists can average 400 watts over the final hour of a Tour de France stage. Mark Cavendish hits about 1600 watts in the final sprint. If you are interested in sports facts and jokes, please check out my 5-star rated book, Interested in Sport. It's available online and in all good bookstores. You should also have a look through some of my many other films I have been creating and consider subscribing to ensure you're kept up to date about new releases. Please, I would really ask a favour of you. I'd love you to pass the word about my films to anyone you might know. And if you were to share this film with anyone, I'm sure your happiness in life would be completely assured.